Hi, the next thing we're going to do is the railings. So I'm going to turn on the railings from display layers. Now for railings, all I wanted to do is add a bevel to them so that whenever I hit 3 on them, so they don't go into the shape. So they will hold out the edges. So I'm going to select all of them together and hit back 1. And now let's add a bevel to this. So for adding bevel, since there are almost like 8 objects and I wanted to apply same bevel, what we can do is we can select an object and go under edit mesh. Under the bevel, instead of applying straight, I can go into an option box. In this option box, I'm going to start by resetting the settings. Now by default, these are the settings. I want to set the width to 0.2 and segments to 2. Now you can set anything in here that would be applied as a default. Now while this is there, I'm going to hit apply. Now you can see that this already has a beveled edge on the top. And to see it better, I'm going to go under shading and turn on wireframe on shaded. Then that would show you that there are 2 edges now going in that corner. And I'm close this window. Now if I hit 3 on this, see, it won't go into that shape. Although others one, they will still go into the rounded shape. Alright, so now how do we repeat this bevel onto all others? Now one way is we already know, you select it, go straight under there and hit bevel, that will apply. And another tool is the G key from a keyboard. When you select something and hit G key, it repeats the last tool you used. Now last time I used bevel, now see that same bevel is automatically applied. So I'm going to select this one, hit G and G, and that makes everything so quick. Now on this one, I do have this edge I wanted to remove before applying any bevel to it, because bevel is only applied to the boundary edges and this is not a boundary edges. So I'm gonna control delete and remove it, and going back into object mode and going to apply bevel. Now this time I cannot hit G. Why? Because I used that tool of removing an edge loop, so it would repeat the same one again. So this time I'm gonna need to go back and hit bevel. I'm going to turn off this wireframe. Now take a look at this. That looks pretty good as of now. Railing beveling is done. All we have to do is position them nicely, and going back into front view, hit F. So I'm going to grab all these and let's put them a little bit down because look like they're away. Now you can also see here the background color and the color of the background is like pretty close to each other. That sometimes make it like hard to pop out. Now this is the time where we can change the background color by holding Alt B as boy. See, if you keep clicking it, it's going to toggle through different ones. So I'm going to keep this gray. This is a little bit darker. See, that makes the visibility a little bit better. Let's take a look at a reference image, how the front looks like. So here's the reference image. Now take a look in the front here. So this is how there's a little bit kind of like dip going in there. Now let's see how we do this part. So I'm going to close this, and to do that definitely I'm going to need edges here, so we can pull those down, and I'm going to add those edges by going under modeling toolkit, which is right here, and I'm going to use multi-cut. And why multi-cut? Because then I can snap right in the middle. By holding Control and Shift, I can snap at 50%. That will give me the center line. Now I can add more this way on right and left. What other way I can also do is select this edge entirely and I can bevel this edge so that I always have a center line. So let's do up to 8. Right, so here we go. We got up to 8. Now how do we create that dip line there? So for that one, I'm going to switch back to the front. Now here I wanted to show you something else as well. Is we already know how to mirror. This time I want to show how to turn on symmetry. Now symmetry is right here in the modeling toolkit. By default is off. You can set to any axis that you wanted to do. Now I wanted to do on this object. What axis? Take a look at this corner here. This shows you what axis is pointing what direction. Since X is pointing this way and I want, this is a center line here, right? So I wanted to repeat whatever I do on this side onto this side. And that's why I wanted to have symmetry on X. Okay, so I'm going to go into object X, and if you're not sure, you can just go into all of these. But if your model is facing the correct way, which is the positive, then symmetry should work by default. All right, so now my symmetry is on. I'm going to go back into vertex mode and going to grab, let's say first I'm going to start with the middle one. Now you can see 4 on this side, 4 on this side, and I'll set up a dip something around here. and that's probably the max. Now grabbing the second one. Now symmetry is on, is automatically grabbing both sides. So drag select, and you're gonna keep doing that. Now it's automatically giving me, actually I think it's too wide. Let me zoom out to make sure. Yeah, that's good. So something, okay, so the last two I wanted to bring a little bit closer. I think it's too far away, so I can grab onto these two and pull them a little bit in, and then grab these two and pull them out. Since it's a curve in the end, so it's gonna need some more lines there, or you can call more edges. There you go. So now that's round enough for this part. Alright, with that I'm going to go back to object mode. Now let's switch back to the perspective. Now if I hit 3, and that's going to work pretty good. So I'm going to grab, double click on this, and this one is going to be, since symmetry is still on, it automatically selecting on the other side. So when symmetry is on, doesn't matter if you select right side or left one, it's going to automatically select the opposite one. Since this is a corner edge for this arc, see when I hit 3, that corner kind of goes away. Now to keep that corner there, I need to click on bevel so it can double up those edge lines. So click on bevel here. Now see there are 3 lines instead of 1, and I wanted to pull them even closer. So fraction value would be 0.1. Now by repeating those lines, that shape would stay there. Now I'm going to hit 3. Now see that shape is kind of clearly staying there, it's not diffusing in there anymore. Alright, with that we are done with the railing. The next we're going to be working on railing supports, which are going to be these guys.